been a week.
Now I'm actually pretty sure that we are live, ladies and gentlemen. March 13th, 2025, Canoga Park, California, back in the studio for another episode of 2LaneLIVE. Not only is this episode brought to you by Law Tigers Motorcycle Attorneys, but it's also brought to you in liquid form by 805.
We would like to thank Matt Malone and the 805 team, Firestone Brewery. Just picked up with them. They actually supported our open house this year, where we helped raise some money for Medicine Wheel Ride. And he was kind enough to bring some beer by, and I think we're in the saddle for a little bit. And they're going to be out helping Thrashin too, right? At the open house on March 29th.
He's going to have a beer garden.
Yeah.
So March 29th, 2025, Thrashin Supply will be having their open house party. Check out their website for all the details, the time, location, where to stay, where to ride if you want to make a weekend out of it and you're coming from afar. Another heads up, we'll mention this a couple times in this live, but we are going to be giving away some hats and some new 9x7 stickers, kind of saddlebag size stickers during the live. There will be some discount codes, so get your phones ready, computers ready, whatever that may be.
It'll get there.
Galen is showing some hats.
There you go.
Oh, I didn't account for the fueling hat, but we'll figure that out on the fly. Anyway, today we got Jace Hudson, a.k.a. Fast Life Jace, a.k.a. Fast Life Garage, a.k.a. airbrush artist, photographer, film nerd, motorcycle rider, traveler, big van guy, president of Texas.
Yeah,
amongst many things. Rad dude, and we're looking forward to talking to him about motorcycle stuff and all that.
He's actually the governor of Texas.
Oh, the governor.
Yes.
Of Texas. You forgot to say that we will be hanging out, walking around, set up, and running around the Thrashin open house. Come and say hi to us. You know, why not? We'll be there.
Well, and I have to say, go ahead.
Hollister, it dropped Wednesday, and it's awesome. Is that what you were going to say?
Good, keep going.
It was really great. It's doing really good. People are loving it. Fun time, a great place. I mean, we're from California, and we haven't been to Hollister. We went up there, and it was really kind of a cool trip to ride, and the roads up there were amazing. Even though you almost ran over a couple ground squirrels.
Yeah, that was Surprise Road. The 25 Airport Road headed into Hollister, and the 198 just extremely incredible riding. I'd love to take the kids up there and let them run those dynas up and down that thing.
Yes.
I'd love it.
Any bike you have would be great on that road. So go back and check out our video from yesterday and stay abreast to all the stuff that's going on our Instagram. We should get into it.
Speaking of staying abreast, we came out with new shirts as well. You can buy them while they're available. The Valley of Rocks and the Bodie shirt. All right, we're done with our sales pitch. Thank you guys for the support as always. And without further ado, we got Jace in the house.
There he is. And look, he's got an 805 sign behind him.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It's Team 805 was the first live we ever did, actually not ours, and it was with Jace.
First podcast.
Our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all getting old. That's what you're saying.
Facts.
Yep.
So audience on the internet out there, Jace will freeze up just a little bit, but his audio is coming through. So there's a big storm out in front of his warehouse. So just stay with us, but you can hear him talk, and we're excited to have you. Thanks for taking the show the last few minutes here, and
yeah,
we got a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's always an honor to, not only, be a part of like the things that you guys have going on, but it's also being pretty badass to know you guys, seeing how much you guys have done and accomplished over the last 5 years that I've known you personally. It's been awesome, man. I'm very proud of everything you guys have done with the channel, with yourselves, and, doing rad shit.
Well, we appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think we always say, I mean, you were doing a podcast at Thrashin Supply. This was probably 2019. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Lance happened to be over there. And so he jumped in a little bit, I think. And then when we started February of 2020, March of 2020, I think we did one with you May of 2020. And it was kind of our first entry.
It was during the pandemic. And I remember I tried to adopt doing some of the over the computer, over the phone kind of a podcast to kind of suffice with the fact that we couldn't really get a lot of people in person at the time. And like I said, when I met Big Lance there at Thrashin, like he and you guys were already kind of, before you started 2LaneLIVE, were already doing the open road stuff and getting out and riding.
Right.
So I just connected with that because literally I was on an open road cross country travel whenever I was at Thrashin. So it was like, it was easy to just kind of like bond on that kind of a shared experience, if you will.
Yeah. And you're definitely a mile crusher. You do a lot of miles every year. And so you're on the same boat we're on. And that's what definitely makes it cool. I mean, when we came to your place and did the podcast in studio,
yeah,
and then we went and did a great ride through Texas, that was a great time.
Yeah, we need to run that shit back though. I don't think you guys have been to Texas since, and
Nope.
the roads still suck, but the community has gotten bigger since then.
No, we should do that. We need to get to Carlsbad Caverns
Yeah.
and some stuff, so it's just on the way. But Lance had mentioned you guys crush the miles. You guys usually put together a ride every year with your posse.
Yeah.
What was last year's ride?
Last year, we didn't do one. I, kind of like my endeavors kind of threw a wrench in the mix. I was doing, I did a 7-week motorcycle trip on my FXR chopper. And the goal behind that was to try to, photograph the entire experience, the journey, the people, places, and things, and try to put something together on the back end of it, which, being on the back end of it now, I'm just trying to get back financially in the good spot from being gone from working for 7 weeks. And so it's still kind of kicking my ass now. But I think we as a group have 3 states left in the lower 48 to ride together in. And so I think the goal is in June, we're going to get together to hit those last 3 states. I was kind of on the fence if I was going to be able to make it this year because of, Born Free California is kind of like a great business network thing for me. And so missing that, how does that affect my business, blah, 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 whatever. But, the more I thought about it, the more, when my friends go and hit these last couple of states and me not being there, like, I don't know if I could live with that feeling of, not putting myself in the position to be able to share that and experience that with them. You know what I mean? So, and I hadn't even told them I was going yet. So if they watch this, they'll hear it now on this thing. So
what 3 states did you say? There's only 3 you haven't been in.
There's only 3 we haven't ridden through as a group, and it's Florida. Even though we've all been in Florida together on bikes, we've never ridden there together. South Carolina and West Virginia. So we got to do kind of a loop to go hit all those and wrap it up. So there's another Forrest Gump stop that we want to get in, obviously Savannah, Georgia. I think the bench that he sat on. So me and my group, we've kind of chased a lot of the Forrest Gump spots that were from the movie, from the lighthouse to obviously Monument Valley, Grandfather Mountain out in I think it's North Carolina or Virginia. I can't remember. It's right there. So this is like another spot that we can kind of like capitalize on and experience together. So it's something I'm glad that I came around mentally and got prepared to go do or whatever you would say.
Sounds great. Have you had a chance at all to see any of our Monument Valley stuff that we just dropped in the last few weeks?
Man, I've been buried in the shop trying to get some work done for some deadlines. Daytona's the deadline, and then after Daytona, it's Arizona Bike Week, and then it's Born Free. And so I've been in a fucking kind of a very tunnel visioned world in the last probably months since I went to Mama Tried, and then from that it's just been nonstop work since then.
Yeah.
So
well, if you get a chance, because we went in deep, we got to go in with some Navajo tribesmen and really go into some places that we haven't been. They played music in amphitheaters for. I mean, it was amazing.
I saw the pictures. I've seen all the pictures you guys have posted about it. So it's that access to that part of that amazing spot, I can't imagine how badass it was to be there. You know what I mean?
It was great.
Not only was it badass,
I'm good enough with San Juan Inn.
Yeah.
Give me some whiskey in San Juan Inn, and I'm having the best time in Monument Valley. So
but getting those little huts or the cabins they have that your view is the Forrest Gump Point, Monument Valley. You sit there and spend the night. That's something really worth it.
But not only was it badass, it was like 18 degrees.
Once it warmed up,
Yeah.
it was.
Once it
I'm
warmed
gonna
up.
have a bite of cheese.
I was
and
going
a
to say, for
beer
those
in
of you
memory of my-
listening on the podcast and not just the audio or just the video, if you hear crunching and chewing, that's Galen eating snacks and peanuts
Well,
and
I'm
cheese.
having a bit of cheese and a beer in memory of my grandfather, Leon Woodhouse
Very
Lynn
good.
Anderson, part of
Wow.
my name.
Okay.
Yeah.
He used to sit on the front porch with a little cheese and Regal beer, and his breath smelled horrible.
No, that's rad. Hey, that's that Wisconsin thing, right? Some cheese and beer, huh?
Yeah, that
That's
guy
good.
just said Jace is one hell of a craftsman.
Thank you. I
John.
appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's a good life, man. Riding motorcycles and painting them and talking to people about them, photographing them, doing podcasts about them. Like I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest with you.
You can't. It's your life,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So the discretionary income's down a little bit and spending is down a little bit. So all of us kind of in the aftermarket stuff and
Yeah.
whether it's painting of helmets and different things. What are your plans for 25? Have you got anything major that you want to do?
Well, maybe to preface or to kind of like step back to kind of give the answer to that question a little bit more weight. Since I think it was 3 years ago, I did my first like month-long bike trip.
Yep.
I remember I came to y'all's place, and I think my buddy Jaden Dragon was with me, right?
Yeah.
And so we were on a month-long trip, and then the following year I was on the Lowrider ST, and I did 2 weeks to LA, Born Free, came home for like 5 days, and then me and the guys, we did a loop around Lake Michigan and did all the Midwest states. Then came home from that, and then it was 2 weeks later it was Sturgis, and then there was 2 weeks in Sturgis, right? So every summer for the last 3 or 4 years has been these massive trips, and my whole life is kind of revolved around it. So like you kind of prepare for the summer, financially, and then you go out and you kind of, whether you want to call it making content or just creating, relationships and networking and photographing and podcasting and all the stuff that I would do to kind of help keep the fucking ball rolling. Last year's 7 weeks, like not to Debbie Down the situation, but it really put me in a financial bind. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I've been kind of getting out of that hole, and then you add that with like the economy being kind of down. So I saw a very luxurious aspect to an already luxurious thing like a motorcycle. So someone wanting a paint job from me or a custom helmet paint job is kind of an accessory to an accessory, right? So nowhere even close to a necessity. And, not to say that I don't have a lot of great people out there still supporting me and giving me opportunity. It's just that it seems like everything costs more, but you can't really raise the price of what you do because you're already at that line or that cusp, if you will, of people not valuing it anymore, or even maybe not value is the bad word, but like just not doing the job because it's not, they don't want to spend that kind of money on something, right? And I mean, like I said, I just have to basically, in order to kind of get through it, I just have to kind of cut back on some things, which my traveling this year is going to be a lot less than it has been in the past. But, if I got to take a step back for a year to kind of financially put me in a better spot so that I can continue to, travel and ride, then it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I am building a like legit chopper right now, like hardtail, shovel head, 4-speed, jockey shift. Initially, the goal was to build it and ride it to the El Diablo run, which is obviously in like a month and a half or something like that. Yeah. It just financially and because I'm also trying to learn a lot of things in fabrication while I'm doing this. So I have a lot of great mentors around me that are teaching me things and, helping me kind of expand on the things that I do here within the Fast Life Garage. And I really want the experience of traveling across the country on a hardtail jockey shift, 2-gallon, 2.5-gallon gas tank. I want all those challenges, right? And people for the last year and a half, I mean, the people like didn't understand why I wanted to do all the cross country traveling on the FXR chopper. but that had a 3.8 gallon tank. I could do 150 miles on that thing. Right.
Right.
My ass can't do it 150 miles on it.
Right.
But man, there's just something about slowing down and getting on the back roads and seeing, going at the right speed to focus on everything around you and decide to stop and photograph it or experience it or whatever. And I fell in love with that aspect of it. Riding baggers for the last 7-8 years, has been an amazing opportunity to build and ride performance baggers and go as far away from Dallas as I can and experience the country with the most comfort. 1,000-mile days was no problem, but there's something about slowing down and taking it all in and only having 150 miles today to the next spot and not feeling like you can't stop to smell those roses. And I kind of want to get some of that under my belt, before I can't.
We've talked a little bit about that this year as well. I mean, some of the times that we had last year better spent where we stayed an extra day or two and kind of immersed ourselves in the area that we were in and the town that we were in. And so I think we're going to try to do a little bit more of that versus just the turn and burn.
Yeah.
We'll have to do some of that. We're going to head to homecoming and we're going to do like 4 dealer stops across from here to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Meet and greets.
But the rest of it's really going to be, we're going to try to get, not back to where we started because we were still turning and burning, but let's get back and really find out what's going on in these towns. Like we did this trip to Hollister and I just happened to look up, sites in between here and Hollister and found Pinnacles National Park. And we had no idea it was even there. And it's amazing. You go in there and you see this rock structure and it's like, what the hell? We've lived here for 30 plus years and we don't even know it's in our own backyard.
Well, Pinnacles is kind of weird because it's like I still, traveling the country and going into national parks and having a national park card and getting in and all that. And you go to Pinnacles and you're like, kind of like felt like I was in Ojai going, how is this like, to me, it seemed like a state park.
Yeah.
It was just, didn't have like.
I know, but it's got a history. It's
I know.
like it was 23 million years ago, a volcano in Lancaster, California. And over that period of time, the Pacific plate shift moved this structure 200 miles away. I mean, insane.
Yeah, I was on. I kind of. I don't know how to like put this question out, but do you guys get like just burn out on everything that you guys do? Like not to say that you don't enjoy it, not to say that we're not lucky to be able to ride motorcycles and do this stuff, but like the agenda that's on top of everything that you do, like, you know what I mean? The agenda of making, like, you guys are making videos about everything, and that's another level above what I'm doing. But like, does it get kind of overbearing sometimes hitting these deadlines every week, a live every Thursday, a video every Wednesday?
Well, the lives are fun. We look forward to them, and they're in the studio right here in our place. So it's kind of like, it's easy to just walk in here and we don't have any structure. So it's like, it's a fun, it's probably the easiest thing we do.
Yeah.
You
ever just want to disappear for like 2 months?
Yes.
Going on trips, like planning a scheduled trip, a meet and greet across the country and going to homecoming. That's more of a structured thing. And then you might be, but you always meet someone cool and it's always something different. But every year, no matter what, we're always going, let's go to Sturgis,
But I think last year, the meet and greet stuff that we were doing, we didn't know what to expect. And we were out 21 days and we had maybe the longest time before had been 10 or 11 days, something like that. And I didn't know how we were all going to get along. I didn't know how, what. And quite frankly, it was the coolest thing ever. Breeze. And it was like, wow, that was 21 days. But to your point, I mean, I think there becomes creative fatigue. And I think there becomes, I think what comes across from us is more glamour and glitz. And I don't think people really understand the struggles and the challenges it takes to keep a business a float like this when you're out traveling and when you need someone at the shop to do work, and when Josh is bearing down on a deadline, and there's some stress behind it, and so we have a planning board that's sitting behind Josh, and we kind of this year, like for 5 years in a row, we didn't miss a Wednesday. And so, and kind of at the end of the year was the first time that we had missed like 2 weeks in a row. Now, Christmas and New Year's fell on those Wednesdays, but it also told us that maybe if we get back to that little bit more deeper profile of the town we're in, then instead of doing 4 a month, maybe we only need to do 3 a month, but they're going to be really 3 good drops and not just like we're pushing to get content.
Yeah, but almost like spreading in 2 directions. So instead of just kind of being in the middle, making something really involved like we did in Monument Valley, but then on the other end of the spectrum, more so vlogging and going back to the basics on trips, because when we're like trying to pump out we're actually trying to make an episode out of something that would be normally just like dudes having a good time.
Yeah.
The basic vlog ends up being the more entertaining thing to capture and to watch, because it's just dudes being dudes, which is what people I think want to experience, not some like, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So trying a little bit of both. But to Galen's point, being out for that long was awesome. We thought it was going to get burnt out. We didn't. But we've just been doing this for so long that we're used to the pace. We get it done. Yeah, it is repetitive, but it's still enjoyable.
And we're also not really vlog kind of people, but we are doing it a little bit more. And that's not that that's bad or good for anyone else, but just we like to tell the stories of the places we're at. We like to go show people, hey, go over here and have a burger and a steak, and it's only 200 miles from your house, and jump on the bike and stay here, and here's some great history. And so it's 5 years of navigation.
Yeah. And to kind of jump back to what you said at the beginning of your answer to my question, I think that the planning and I'm a little bit of an overthinker, which is not a great habit, but the planning of things tends to be kind of the stress for me, because you're trying to put something together for everybody to enjoy. But once you're in it and you're past the overthinking part, you're in the experiencing part, it usually all works out well. You're having a great time, but it's just the week leading up, the month leading up, the ducks you're trying to get in a row so that you can go and be present at these events and present at these, opportunities. That's where I'm trying, like, I get overwhelmed with that. You're so kind of,
Well, I think whether you're gunslinging or you're planning or you're doing whatever, things change with gunslinging, things change with plans. But once you're out on the road, they always work out. At the end of the day, you're going to finish the trip. You're going to have a good time. You're going to catch video. And sometimes the unplanned things turn into magic, and sometimes the planned things turn into magic. So it's take it all, and it ends up being cool one way or another.
Oh, 100. Yeah. And that's, like I said, I think not doing a trip with my boys last year, it took me away from that simple understanding that, like, once we get on the road, it all falls into place.
Right. Right.
And so I'm, like I said, getting back out this year, hopefully everything lines up and it all works out. And get back to that feeling, man. Like, but me, I was chasing, like, trying to create shit. I want to create more things. I want to do something, it's kind of like the corporate mentality of, like, I got to do something bigger next year. It has to be bigger and bigger. And it's like, then you get to a point where you're like, fuck, man, like, how the hell? I just want to ride bikes, talk some shit on a podcast, paint enough shit to pay my bills. Like, I'm not trying to get a Lamborghini or anything. I just want to fucking, just the easy,
you'll have
chill
good
life.
Success with that. It'll be successful.
But I think what draws me back to it, and I'm sure Lance would probably agree. So we're on our way back from Durango, Colorado, and we're in Aneth, Utah last year. And we meet Don Mose, and we end up having a conversation and striking that up, and an invitation to come back to Monument Valley and have the family really tell us about the backstories, if you will. And so we were able to do that in January. And it's one of those things that had we not been in Aneth, out in the middle of nowhere, the town's like 200 people, we wouldn't have met this guy. And then all of a sudden we go into this thing that none of us knew what to expect. And it was so incredible. And we get done with it. And then the ride doesn't stop there. It continues into Page, Arizona, then up into Zion National Park. I mean, it's like, holy shit. Like, we just did that in 6 days or whatever it was. And it was insane. And we've been to Monument Valley 50, 30 times, 10 times, whatever it is, but never experienced it like that.
Well, we got to start saying we've flown through Monument Valley 100 times and stopped and took pictures and split.
Just like everyone else.
So this
Forrest Gump Point.
Yeah. Like, this is we actually stopped and said, we're going to stay here. You know, that's what made it different.
I've camped at the,
we got out.
I've camped at the View there twice. And each time, each time whether it's like, shooting, with photography, shooting like the Milky Way galaxy, back in the day, or I wouldn't say back in the day, back when I first started doing it, like you couldn't get beer or alcohol anywhere around there, being an Indian reservation.
You have to go to the San Juan Inn.
Yeah. So we just started to where we would just like carry like 12 packs in there. And then you kind of feel like an asshole because, you're bringing beer, it's not really allowed, but, I need it. So.
Well, you don't have to feel like an asshole because we went out in a truck at night and then we got shown different places throughout that valley. And believe me, there's beer cans and bottles all over the place. It's probably like, hey, we can get out now and go hide and it's dark. Let's go have some drinks. And,
that place is still like the most magical place, in my opinion, on motorcycles, but it's like, it's different for everybody. It's like, you could tell them to ride through there and, it's just how, like, when you ride through makes a difference, whether it's the middle of the day, whether it's sunsets, sunrise, whether you stay in camp at the View or you go to the San Juan Inn, or there's so many ways you can experience it. And, when I tell people like how that's one of my go-to places, it's also like, I can't explain, like, it's kind of like saying why we all like Harleys. It's just the culture, right? It's like, we just are drawn to it. I'm drawn to that place. I love riding it. I love riding through it. I love being in it. Me and my wife, we did our road trip last year. We did the Moki Dungway that you guys have been telling me about since the day I met y'all. And we drove it. I'm glad we drove it because fuck riding that. But, it was badass.
If you can't, drive right across the country and get to the Moki Dugway or Monument Valley, you can fly into Las Vegas, go to EagleRider, book your EagleRider ride through 2LaneLIVE.com and receive 5% off. And then
Jace, you might not want a Lamborghini, but we do. No.
No, but I'm serious. Like, I mean, you pick these bikes up and go check these spots out if you only have 4 or 5 days.
If you ride and don't get to experience going through Monument Valley, that's kind of a shame.
Even the Virgin River Gorge.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, so here's kind of a funny story. Lance and I, the first year we went to Sturgis, we were with the Young Guns, and we came through Kayenta, and Monument Valley's 20 minutes away. Yeah. We were going to Durango, and we just completely bypassed it. So that was strike one. And then he and I went out and tried to get there, and something happened. And that was strike two. Yeah. Then we took the wives out and we went, and my bike started having a problem. So we had to turn around. So it took us the 4th trip. We finally got to Forrest Gump Point.
Yeah. I think a lot of people make that a stop on the trip, like a lunch spot or we're going to ride through there. But to me, I think that whether it's San Juan Inn, whether it's the View or something in Mexican Hat, to me, that's a layover. Like, I think that people should go there. They should see the monuments or just being the area, because there is a vibe, there is a feeling in the air, especially at sunset, sunrise, in the middle of the night. Like, it's amazing. I'll tell you that my favorite I've done this trip. I've ridden through there, driven through there every year for the last like 8-9 years, right?
Right.
And one of my favorite years was like with my boys. It was on the beginning of that month-long trip where me and Jaden separated and did a longer trip. But we met a good buddy of ours, Hans, who's from like Montrose, Colorado there. Older guy, coolest guy in the world, sick ass FXR, awesome dude. And we all met him there, and then he brought a bottle of whiskey. We brought a bottle of whiskey. We sat on the little patio roof till I don't know what time in the middle of the morning. This man drank us under the table, told us some fucking awesome stories. You know, to me, like there wasn't a crazy thing going on. Like that was just like the most beautiful aspect of riding motorcycles and connecting with people, different age groups. I mean, Hans is a very close friend, damn near a mentor of mine. He's 70 years old. He still travels across the country on motorcycles. You know what I mean? And here he is meeting me and all my boys to party with us on top of a little patio
That's awesome.
In San Juan Inn. You know what I mean? And so forever that, you know, I don't know, like I'm a sentimental dude. So I think about that a lot. I passed by it last year with my wife, and, you know, I'm not gonna say I teared up or anything like that. You know what I mean? But
so you teared up. It's okay.
I just love that. I love those experiences.
We've stayed at San Juan Inn probably 3 or 4 times now, but there's the place we stayed this time was Goulding's Lodge, and it was great. It's just right at the turnabout. Yeah, you can go to Monument Valley this way or Goulding's this way, but you got a view or Goulding's.
So you got the view towards the museum, and then you've got Goulding's down, and they have these little cottages out, and I can't tell you the view every time we parked the bikes, whether it was morning, mid-afternoon, evening, just you have this perfect view of the Mittens, and it was insane.
Well, they got a movie museum there, and then they got a place to eat, and the eating there, you know, every night you just walk into the cafe and you can eat with the locals.
How many you got?
But one thing about Monument Valley that's interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, it was named by Hollywood, John Ford and all the guys that would go there to film. It wasn't called Monument Valley. It was the Trail of the Wind or the Valley of the Rocks. They said, let's call it Monument Valley, and it stuck.
Yeah, that's good to know.
So we have a little hat giveaway we can do.
So do you have 5 2-lane hats, or is it a mix of hats?
It's a mix of hats.
Because we don't have the 2-lane hats on the website, so they can't get those using the code. But we can
I go get a beer?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah,
go get a beer. We'll give away the hats.
What kind of beer are you drinking?
805.
Perfect.
All right. So we have a discount code that will be for, I guess it'll be 5 2LaneLIVE hats, and then
that's fine.
Give away some fueling stuff at the end. So any of the 2LaneLIVE hats on 2LaneLIVE.com, just use the code Free Hat Day. There's 5 coupon codes available. FREEHATDAY. Free Hat Day. If you're listening to this and it's not March 13th, 2025, that code probably won't work, but you're more than welcome to visit the website and give it a try. And if not, get a hat. So
what are they doing? How many?
I'm itching my leg. That looks sketchy on camera. They are checking out the website to see if they want to get a free hat. We're going to do stickers later. We haven't worked out. There's one. The only issue with the stickers is we have not worked out the shipping. We don't know how much it's going to cost or charge you or anything. Either way, it's going to be cheaper because it's a free sticker. Shout out to Harry Perry III. He is the first hat
Harry Perry.
winner instead of $25.99. It was $0.00. $6 for shipping. Not bad. Thank you, Harry. Anyway, we'll let those kind of flow through, and we'll do the free big badge, big guys stickers up next. Oh, we got another one.
Jace, would you hold up your cup, please? Your glass. 805. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, Stephen Ibarra, he's
supposed
got
to
one of
pick
those
his shirt
shirts. I think he already did, maybe.
Oh, he did.
With a big sticker. So and he got some other stuff.
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
So I need koozies.
Oh, look at that.
805 koozies.
Damn, boy.
Look at that.
Race King.
Oh,
Rich Ortega. Another Race King. Oh, no, that's Kyle Bibby. Okay.
Hey, so Jace, we're kind of all Harley guys. Don't you laugh.
We saw you riding.
We saw it. So what was going on?
Oh man, I don't even know how to begin this conversation properly.
There was a lot of Harley guys there with you.
Well, yeah. So the press ride stuff. So every brand does a press ride. You know, Harley did it a week after the Indian one. You know, they do these things. They bring out people from like different forms of media to basically test out the bikes and like share their thoughts through their channels or whatever. And I mean, I've never been a part of any of those type of things, so I didn't really know what it was like going through it. And typical fashion, you know, it wasn't about me. It was a big thing that a lot of other people were doing. You know, Sandoval, from a lot of the other people in the YouTube world, magazine people that write articles, blogs, things like that. But it was just like the first time that a motorcycle brand ever did anything for me. You know what I mean? Or, I mean, they fed me. They gave me a plane ticket and a hotel room and gave me beer and alcohol and let me ride a bike. So it's like, you know, like it was a cool experience to be able to do that, you know, and go in there a little bit more less biased for something I've never even tried. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm a very loyal by nature individual, you know, and I've been working on Harley-Davidsons for over 20 years. That's been my source of income, right? So naturally, whenever the planets aligned and started doing a podcast, you know, almost 8 years ago, we talked about the experience of customizing, riding, and being around Harley-Davidsons, right? And then 2 years later, the Indian Challenger comes out. And it's kind of like the answer for the performance bagger. Still, while the performance bagger was kind of like in its infant stages of becoming the next big trend or the next big genre of bikes, if you will. And it was kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's just like if you could just buy it and write a check for it, it wasn't cool to me, if that makes sense. Like
Totally.
the only way I can make the analogy is like, before I got into motorcycles, I was into like import cars, like the fast ones. And so to get the fast ones, you either had a lot of money or you had to import these motors from Japan and put them in the cars, right? So you had to do a lot of work. You couldn't just go finance the car, right? So to have this thing and be a part of this culture, you had to put a little bit of effort in. And there was that aspect that made it feel cool. But then the automotive industry picked up on it and they started producing things like the Dodge Neon SRT 4, I think. And then all these other brands started coming out with turbocharged cars. And now all of a sudden, everybody had the same thing that we busted our asses to build. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of killed,
Right.
it killed the whole, you know, it killed the exclusivity of it. Not that I've ever been an exclusivity kind of person. If anybody puts in the effort, I'm down to let you into the club. But I like the barrier between people that try and people that don't. You know what I mean? And so the Indian Challenger was kind of like, when it came out, it was like, okay, you don't need to buy suspension. You don't need to make it faster. You know, maybe you just need to work on your rider triangle, get your seat bars and foot position in the right spot, throw an exhaust on it. So out of the box, it's a great bike to buy and fucking check most of the boxes that most consumers are going to want on a motorcycle. Right. But it's still a young brand, even though it is older. It's still a very young brand in the aspect that, you know, they're trying to put a lot of effort into building up the Indian motorcycle right now to make it a viable option for people that are looking for, you know, American V-twins. But I don't know, in 10 years from now, these bikes are going to look so much more similar and offer the same stuff that it's going to be a spec war. You know, who's got whose bike gets 10 more gallons, you know, on the trip, or not 10 more gallons, 10 more miles per gallon on the trip, and 5 more horsepower. And, you know, this one's got cooler wheels. It's like, eventually these things are just going to keep fighting and going, you know, which is good for us as a consumer. We're going to get better bikes to choose from, but, you know, I don't know. I'm still confused.
I preface that little poke at you just because we don't care what people ride. We just want people to get out and ride. But Lance jumped on, I think Carrie Hart had one a few years
Yeah.
ago, right? And jumped on it and ran around. And what did you think about the bike, the powertrain? And
I mean, honestly, I mean, the Challenger was more at home because I've always been a Road Glide or a Lowrider ST or FXRT fairing. You know, frame mounted fairings are just my jam. I mean, it was fun. I had a great time. You know, the hang up for me is, you know, I'm into, you know, when I say custom motorcycles, you know, we get it. You got an air cleaner and exhaust. I like things that like, whether it's the way that it's painted or the aftermarket, or, you know, like I like a little bit deeper custom, right?
right.
And the biggest hang up with Indian right now for a consumer like me is the aftermarket. There's not a lot there. So
Right.
there are some great guys out there making some stuff, but if you only have one style of bars and one style of exhaust, you don't have a variety, so everybody's bike looks the same, and it defeats the purpose of being custom, right? You know, maybe it's
sell
this.
enough.
Yeah, well, until they get enough units on the road, you know, let's just say 50, 60, 80,000. I don't know what it is, but they've only been making the Challenger for since, you know, the end of 2020, essentially. Until they get enough on the road that aftermarkets are willing to invest the money to like go into it and start making parts, you know, like it's just going to take a while for the aftermarket to want to invest their own money to help build the brand, right? Harley's just been around forever, and there's been an economy that's lived off the back of Harley's own existence for over 50, 60 years, right? So it's easy to get into that world and start seeing what you can add or bring to the table or solve a problem, if you will. And which is why we've had all these iterations of different types of styles of motorcycles. It's always been on the back of Harley-Davidson. You know, even the chopper era of the TV show still was fueled by the lack of opportunity for people to be able to buy a Harley-Davidson from a dealership. You know what I mean? When you had 6-month waiting list to get a Softail, we're like, shit, fuck it, I'm gonna go have Jesse James build a bike. Not to say that's the only reason they would have him build a bike, but that along the side of these other bikes are getting cool. I can either wait 6 months to get this one-off bike that nobody else will have, or I can get a Heritage Softail, whatever color they have available, you know?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, we were talking about this with the 2024s. I mean, I think on the baggers for Harley, to me, it's been the best product they've built out of the box.
Yeah.
They beefed up the suspension, the travel, they stiffened the front up a little bit, they lightened the bike. The price point was like insane. So and for aftermarket people like we are, it's like, okay, so we still have a canvas that you want to paint, and you want to change things up, but for someone that really didn't have the means to change it up, it's this year's bike is, and the 25s as well, are probably some of the better just out of the box bikes that you can get.
Yeah, for so much. I mean, in 2019 or whenever you got your black and red, in those years, even a Road Glide Special out the door was like closer to 38, 39.
I think now was 30 something.
32.
Yeah, not much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now 30 out the door, 29 out the door.
Right.
You've seen as low as 27 out the door but cheaper now than it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And to your point, I mean, now they've got a 117.
Yep.
They've got the suspensions beefed up, and so
it's a better bike.
So I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm very loyal as well, and it's like I've been riding Harleys, and I like the spirit and the soul of a Harley. You're not going to usually don't have someone from Europe say, I want to go ride Route 66 on anything other than he's going to say a Harley.
Yeah.
It's like I had an old VW Bug, and when you got in that sucker, you're shifting, you're driving, you feel it. It's like, this is way cool compared to just driving a car. So when I rode the Indian around, it was like, okay, hey, it's a bike that goes this and there, but I felt zero spirit, zero soul. I wanted to get back on my Harley. And it's like, we could test bikes and go to these press releases and all these different things, but it's like, if you're one day you're talking about how great your Harley is, and then the next day you're got a video out talking about how great this Indian is, to me, that's not why I do this. I do this to go somewhere and see history and be on a Harley and feel that vibe and tell stories. I could give a shit about the other reviewing of bikes. And it blows my mind to see. It's just kind of a weird thing to see a group of people on one bike one day, and then the next week they're on another bike and they're talking about how they're just reviewing. I'd rather be out doing different things.
Yeah, there's so that's kind of, so I'm making a video on my experience, and like the funniest thing is, like, I'm riding these bikes and with all these other guys that are, making videos, guys and gals. And I'm just sitting there cruising along, just like looking at the sights. And they're, when you look at the other bikes around you, they're all pointing that shit on the bike because they're talking to their GoPro or whatever.
Right.
This does this. I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to do any of this shit. Like, I'm so out of place. Like, I'm not a review guy. Like, because what I love about riding a motorcycle, I can't put it into words. And you know how dumb you sound when you're like, it's because of the culture, man. It's like saying water is wet. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, what does that mean? Like, explain that to me. Like, so what I'm trying to do with this video is be honest about the experience of riding the bike. Like, when you're looking up and you're riding, you're on a fucking bike, it feels great no matter what it is. But there's all this identity stuff that comes into play whenever you look down and you see what you're riding. Right.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out what that is. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to, if I do make a video, I want it to be like, I can't review the bike and be like, well, I like this feature and this feature, and this has 126 torque and 122 horsepower. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, I don't give a fuck if the bike came with 80 horsepower. Like, my goal from day one was to make it have more. So I you know what I mean? So, like, I'm thinking, all right, I'm a Harley guy. I'm riding an Indian. How can I be honest and not just hate on something for the sake of hating on it? Because nobody wants to hear that. I mean, it makes people feel good that also want to hate on it, but it's still a great bike. It rides good. It checks a lot of boxes. But when you start talking about culture, what's missing, how do you explain that to people?
It's hard to. The thing that Galen and I do when we review Harleys, because we're riding like a new year model of a Harley, we almost are talking about our experience on the bike more than the like you say, torque specs, and we talk about how they look, how they feel, and how we felt riding it.
Well, you mentioned the people from Europe, but we had Simon Small from Europe who's on the UK, and I was going to ask him what he thought about your statement about most people don't. And lo and behold, Josh put it up already, but it says amen to that, Big Lane. So Simon, thanks for that. Yeah. I mean, again, we don't really care if you're on a clapper. We don't care if you're on an Indian, a trike. Our deal is get out and ride. And I think that's a little different. We get some people saying to us like, well, geez, you're getting paid by Harley to say these things. And that's just complete bullshit.
Right.
We're not getting paid.
How many bikes have you bought in your lifetime, Harley-Davidsons?
Right.
I bought
a lot. And so it's like, but we're going to be honest about what we feel. And we have been like, hey, we didn't necessarily on one bike. We didn't like the look of the lower fairings as much because of the way, and they're new, but on the other bike, when it was a little dark, it was like, wow, that.
Yeah. I think one thing people just on a recent video kind of got off and misunderstood was we did a road trip on the Street Glide Ultras. And one of the videos from that trip was we were sharing specs and talking about it. Honestly, it wasn't even a whole lot of a review. That was a real-time review, like you said, Lance, sharing our experience just in the vlog. People are saying, you guys, this is scripted. You're just like, yeah, kind of. Yeah, we're literally sharing info that you were doing research on. We're here to show you in a cool environment. And then all of a sudden, they're just taking shots.
Well, the bottom line, no matter what you ride, if you're going 100 and your friend's going 100 and you both have different bikes, you're both going 100. And then the next coolest thing is if whatever you're riding on, whatever bike brand, whatever it is, if you're all standing in Sturgis hanging out with a beer, good times.
Well, and outside of that, I think the thing for me on that particular trip with those bikes was one of the first times that Harley allowed, it's called the embargo. So you can't take the bikes out in the wild. They have to be on a closed set. And they trusted us to cover those bikes up and take care of those bikes and run them out in the wild.
Are you trying to pun me right now? Dude, you trying to like?
No, man. I'm saying like, and it was so great. Like and we really were in the comms going, you know, these, because we don't have lowers on the bikes now, and to have those back on, and then, I mean, we just felt like for out of the box bike, you don't have to do a lot to it, you know.
I might have leaked the new body styles, but I haven't had a real chance to ride them yet. So, you know.
Well, we were told when we took the bikes, do not ride through Texas. Stay as far away from Waxahachie as possible.
Don't call Jace. No, it's you know, it's I'm still dealing with that shit. It's
But you also said it too. I mean, the Indian, it was a great bike for you.
I mean, it's a great bike, and you know, honestly, like I guess the problem with being a loyal person is that everything in the world tests your loyalty, and it tests your loyalty, and it tests your loyalty to the point where you're like, why the fuck am I being loyal to this?
Right.
I mean, if I'm still, you know, I bought and built 3 performance baggers before performance baggers were a thing that everybody talked about in their fucking house, and talked about on my podcast, and rode across the country and customized them and helped develop parts for people and did all this shit. And, you know, now it's not saying it was me. I'm just saying I was a part of the wheels that turned to help get that thing to become mainstream. Right. You know, now it's mainstream, and you know, you feel like you've been watching your fucking band play at these local venues, and now it's playing stadiums, and you can't even afford to get in. You know what I mean? And it's just it's a mind fuck, you know, but it's nobody else's responsibility but mine.
Right.
But it's just one of those situations where it's like, you know, I talk about it a lot. You know, it's funny because even talking to you, Lance, it's like, in my little town, which you guys have been here, you stayed in my town, you've been to my shop, you've been around my scene. I live in a small suburb of Dallas, right? There's only a couple main roads, and I'll literally be going to Chipotle, and I'll pull up, and there'll be a black Road Glide and a black Lowrider ST, thrashed out, all the fucking parts from all my friends, and I walk in, and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Like, it's too small of a spot to not be into the same thing and cross paths. But this thing is so big now. It's so between the YouTube channels that everybody has, obviously your sons as well, huge. It's like it's bigger than it ever was whenever I was doing it, and it's like one of those kind of like I don't know, like moments where like, yeah, like I can look at it 2 ways. I can be jaded, like, oh, I was here first, or I can be like, man, I'm kind of proud that it's what it is now. I wish that I could be a bigger player in this game, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I can only do what I do the way I do it, and how I, you know, I'm not going to be beholden to a fucking algorithm. You know what I mean? I want to make art, and I want to ride bikes. And if that's not going to come off the right way, then I'm never going to grow past whatever my followers are. Fuck it, man.
Hey,
I didn't start painting bikes or riding to be followers anyway.
Yeah, the algorithm changes every day, and you don't have to change with it, you know?
I mean, you could argue even with us, like we decided early on, that wasn't what we were striving to do, is be part of the algorithm. We just decided we wanted to show content. And quite frankly, in 2020, the algorithm was more responsive to shorter videos, 8 minutes and under. And if you could do 2 or 3 a week, and we're like, we can't do that. And so our videos became 25, 26-minute videos. And so that was not the darling child move, but we wanted to do that. And we didn't want to, you know, stop the story in the middle of a great story. And so what I couldn't figure out from the algorithm is, so if you do 2 8-minute videos, and everyone's watch time's about 47, call it 50% of the video or the time. So that's 16 minutes. You're getting 8 minutes of watch. where we do a 27, 25-minute video, we're getting 12 and a half minutes to watch. They're selling advertising over that period of time. We're getting from 8 minutes to 12 minutes, we're getting 4 minutes more of advertising time for them, and they're not loving that. And now you swing back 4 or 5 years, and now it's let's get into long form. And so we just decided early on, we don't care about it. We're just going to put the content out that we want. And it's been beautiful. And you've seen from day one to where we're at today, the growth that Josh has had and what we put out.
Oh yeah. Josh is my hero, dude. Like, I want to be Josh real bad.
Well, Josh is waiting to get his brand new truck, and he's dying over here. It's coming today.
I might be here till midnight again.
He was there at the dealership until 11.
No, I was there till midnight. If I got a word of advice for anyone watching, do not buy a vehicle from Dodge of Valencia.
One more thing on the dealer
unless it's the only one in California.
Since we're talking about dealers and stuff, if we weren't working with Harley and it was all said and done and gone and whatever, and I had to stand there and go, you know what, I want to keep riding. I'm going to go get a bike. Yeah. I would go get a Harley.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I mean, right now, I mean, 100%. I mean, literally, that's who I am. I mean, I tattooed the shit on my neck for a reason, because it's been my life, you know,
right.
Like, but
show the other side of your neck. It looks like there's an Indian head there.
Yeah.
No, I was going to try to get one, like a little, like a temporary one for a video, but no, well, on, you know, I mean, there's so much to be said about like this space that you guys are in, that I am, you know, talking about Harley, you know, actually trying to live the culture and share the culture in unique ways that might help inspire people to want to take a chance to go be a part of it, whether it's through, you know, conversations on a podcast or through the videos that you guys create or whatever the case may be. That's literally been what we've been doing. Unfortunately, like I said, when Instagram and all these things, they change their algorithms where you have to change your content to be, you know, competing with like the biggest breasts you've ever seen in your fucking life all the time, you know, not on motorcycles, even though that's a thing too, but just in general, like you're essentially competing with porn for people's attention on social media, you know, and it makes it really hard to, you know, makes it really hard. Oh, woe is me. I'm trying to fucking, you know, make content about riding motorcycles as I'm riding a motorcycle. Right.
Right. But just be yourself. That's the best.
But the thing is like, you know, when people, you got the reason that I think I've always loved you guys is because you were bikers before you picked up a camera.
Yeah.
Right. You were already riding. It was a part of your life. So in my aspect, I like to ask people a lot, what came first, the content or the creator? Right. You guys were content before you became creators. You rode bikes. You were a part of this life. Hey, we should share this with people because this is fun. This is amazing. Right. I love this. It made me reconnect with a guy I've known for a long time. And now we have a deeper friendship and bond because of it. Talking about y'all two. You know what I'm saying? And so the content came before the creator instead of like nowadays.
It wasn't even us that started that. Our families were like, you guys should tell the story because the stories that we'd bring back to them. We weren't intending on creating a YouTube channel.
We didn't even know how to use a camera or a
I remember
internet.
We just had pictures on the phone and shit.
Yeah, y'all started a business and said, "Oh fuck, we can't do this like we wanted to. We got to find a Josh or something like that, you know." But so that's what I'm saying. Like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, so what I would say about that is not to downplay anybody that's finding motorcycles and finding this thing that I love dearly. It's been my entire adulthood has been motorcycles. I love it when people come in, but I don't like people exploiting it, right? Meaning that you're going to be here while you're like a better at capture, like working with an algorithm. Like you're basically the people that are creators before their content, right? I know how to make videos. I'm looking for something to exploit. To me, like that is where I don't want to compete with somebody that doesn't really have passion for this, you know? And unfortunately, you know, another woe is me situation. I can't, you know, they're better speakers. They're better visual storytellers. You know, the only thing I got is when this thing dips down like it does all the time, I'll still be here. and they'll probably go do reviews on Polaris jet skis and fucking, cigars and riding lawnmowers because they're into whatever gets some attention on social media and not about like sharing this experience of riding motorcycles and being part of communities and how we all, I mean, there's a comment that came in a while ago. I remember the guy, I met him at the San Diego airport when I went to go see my boys shifter crew in San Diego. Like, this motorcycle world is so small when you're like not playing, but when you're on social media and you're being connected to it, like you meet so many people and your network grows so big and you feel like you have such a rich life because of who you know, and you can ride your bike all over the country and sleep on a couch or have dinner or lunch as we do all the time whenever I come and see you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, that's something motorcycles provide.
Yeah. How about like when we're at Born Free or Sturgis and we're all together and then you're there and we're like trying to say hi and it just and it can't happen because it's just so much going on. And it's like, dude,
those meet and greets are wild, dude.
Crazy.
I'm just trying to meet my friends.
Yeah.
So we have a guy. We have a guy that's been following us almost since day one, Rich Ortega. He had asked a question about, can we talk about our first motorcycle or bike that we owned? So we'll let you go first.
Well, my first motorcycle was a Kawasaki. My first thing was a Kawasaki ZX6R. And I got a job working in a custom paint shop here in Dallas. They paint all the bikes for Strokers, which you guys came out to that time.
Yep.
So literally 2 weeks after starting my job, they were filming biker build off in the shop, right? And so like I was kind of hooked on the whole Harley thing, but I couldn't really afford it, and I didn't really know about like FXRs and older bikes. It was like the only thing we worked on was like brand new, nice Harleys or choppers, right? Like TV choppers, like the billet stuff. So it took me a couple of years, but my first Harley was actually my mom's Nightster. She bought a 07 Nightster, and she used to ride around with us. And then she was like, it's kind of hurting my back. I just don't think I'm going to ride. I'm like, I'll take it over. And then that was my first Harley. And then after that, I bought my first Road Glide. And then I bought 7 or 8 brand new Road Glides since 2012. So
wow.
Yeah.
You customize them, and some of them I'd ride forever, some of them I'd sell. But, for the most part, like, I walked in a dealership a lot of time and signed a lot of papers a lot of times. So.
Right. Josh, what was your first motorcycle?
My first motorcycle was a 2017 Yamaha FZ07. Got it brand new for like super cheap from the dealership. Learned to wheelie that thing within a couple of months. Fun bike. And then, started riding with most of my friends already had Harleys. Then we went on that trip. I'm like, this is not a long trip, road trip bike. So I got my 86 FXR and then Softail. And
Dude, I remember you had an FXR. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh. Yeah, I miss it, but it's there'll be a time for that again sometime down the road.
Yeah.
See.
It's yours?
First
motorcycle.
The very first motorcycle that I purchased was a 2008 Road King. And I cut it up on the Road King for a while, started riding trips. My wife and I would ride, and it was like, why are these guys got these fairings, and the street glides are so cool? And, I got to get rid of this man bike, and I learned on it. It was fun, but I got rid of that. Then I had 3 street glides and 3 or 4 road glides now to this point. But when I first got the street glide, they weren't making road glides. It was like a temporary pause on the road glide.
Yeah. 2013 and 14.
But I love the road glide.
Mm-hmm. And for me, my first motorcycle, I think it was a 74, could have been a 73 Suzuki 75cc little bike. But before that, I had a little Strider. My dad was kind of the king of the Strider. I'll have to show you, Jace, or send you a picture of what he made.
Yeah. And
then after that, we mounted Briggs and Stratton 2.5 horse and 5 horse to these mini bike frames.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first motorcycle though was a 75cc Suzuki.
Nice.
and
What
many
year was
bikes.
that?
I wish I still had it.
What year was that when you bought that though? What year was it when you got that?
74,
Oh hell yeah. Nice.
70, maybe 73. So it, crazy.
But your first Harley.
My first Harley was a 2011 Road King. I wish I had that root beer two-tone candy root beer. It was a beautiful bike.
Yeah. No, that color is actually pretty special.
I kind of get them, run them for 2 to 3 years, new, 2-3 years, new, 2-3, just.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to do that for a while, and it worked out for a while until the market kind of went to shit. I had my last done up Road Glide. I tried to sell it 131 to the 9s, and once those new body styles came out, you pretty much had to give away anything prior to that. You know what I'm saying? So, I took a big loss on that motorcycle and whatnot, but I don't know. It is what it is. I had the Lowrider ST, and I didn't appreciate it when I owned it because I had a Road Glide, right? Yeah. But now I've been riding a bike 25,000 miles on a bike that has no gauges and no fairing, and the seat's this thick. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of miss it. So I think the next bike I'm going to buy is going to be a Lowrider ST, the newer one with the high output motor. I'm just waiting on figuring out, the best time of year, seeing what this finance rate shit does, or the interest rates, and see if something happens later on in the year. Right. But I do miss having a modern bike. That's kind of the only thing that, whenever I want to say, all right, I'm going to jump on my bike and ride to California real quick and see all my friends and see some family and stuff. It's like, yeah, I almost got to work out a little bit, stop drinking for a couple of weeks and just get my body ready to be on the bike. But having a modern bike has I kind of miss it now. It's been over a year since I've had anything this fuel injected, that I've seen a gas gauge or the speedometer or any of that shit. So I think the next move I'm going to get is Lowrider ST. And instead of like trying to build it out, ride it for a year and sell it, I think I'm just going to build it out and keep it. Like I'm getting over the whole, flipping bikes and trying to get your value back out of it. As you guys know about, like you want to go get the experiences on these bikes. You quickly have 80,000 miles on them in a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years tops. You know what I'm saying? It's like it goes quick. You know what I mean?
Got to change oil a lot.
Well, and then kind of for us too, it's like we have each of the bikes set up differently at the shop. And so, and we try to keep somewhat current just because it's hard to get rid of the bikes every couple of years, but they have the amount of miles they have on them.
Yeah.
But we like to so people can come into the shop and they can see his floorboards and the way he's got his bars, and it helps us here at the shop. We don't care. People sit on them all day long, and it's like, that's the setup I want. It helps us also in the store.
You guys got to give something away again, right? Because I got to pee so bad.
Yeah, we do.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go grab a beer.
All right.
Grab a beer and pee. I'll be right back. Hey, this is gonna be loud.
We got 2 badge stickers that we're going to be giving away. I'm hoping that it does not charge some kind of wild amount for shipping. But either way, the first 2 to hop on the code get the first 2 stickers. That is a 9x7 Highwayman badge sticker. Just a reminder, don't buy a truck from Ram Valencia. They just called me. They can't. Anyway, conversation for after. So the coupon code at 2LaneLIVE.com for the free badge sticker 9x7 under 2LaneLIVE. I'm going to mute Jace's mic for a sec. Under the 2LaneLIVE accessories tab is Big Badge, capital BIGBADGE, Big Badge. Thought I was typing that in. Big Badge. That'll get you. There's only a couple of those, but
the reason we have these is we've had requests from a lot of different people. Hey, can I get one of those big stickers for my bike? And it's a beard cover. Like you can put it on while you're riding. It just pulls your hair when you try and take it off.
I don't know what that even meant, but it really matches 805.
Wow.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Black and white.
So for every 6-pack of
He's
805
back.
that you buy, 2LaneLIVE gets $122.
$122,000 actually.
I think he wishes that, because that isn't true.
Yep. Jace, you were right.
Full
We
disclosure.
did hear it was a real nice stream.
Oh shit, you got that? You got that? Well,
I removed you after a second.
I was pushing really hard to make it quick.
Cool. Sounds
Took
good.
a lot out of me.
You know what? It happens to the best of us. Oh, that would look pretty good. Buff.
So they're not coming with your truck.
What?
No, they promised me. I said, I'll buy this truck right now if you can deliver it tomorrow. Because I took an hour Uber through the storm to get there, thinking you go to a dealership, you buy a new truck, you can leave with it. False. So after being there for 6 hours and Ubering to the shop and then riding home in probably the worst rain I've ridden in a long time, my good friend Galen picked me up today, took me to the office because they said,
Yeah.
we will deliver it to your office. And then at 5 o'clock on the dot, he called me. I won't do my impression, but we didn't do the smog. We still have to smog. I shouldn't even be rambling about this, but no, there's no truck.
Well, I guess Galen's going to be giving you a ride home again.
Yeah, maybe.
He's got a car.
No.
Is the sticker black and white or black and clear? It is a black and white sticker.
Black and white. It's
Maybe
a
the
white
black and
back.
clear would be pretty cool.
All right. So, Jace, where are we going to
Yes.
see you this year? Are you coming to Born Free?
Man, I'm not going to do Born Free this year, but I
You're
will
going to do the ride.
I will be going to El Diablo. So I got a couple homies coming out with me. We're going to go ride to LA. We're going to be there a couple of days before we have to go to the border to go to Mexico. So I was going to bring some homies by so they can meet you guys and things like that.
Okay.
So I'll probably be there in LA probably May or the last week of April. Gonna ride out there on the FXR again because that's the only bike I got running, and do that, be out and around, come hang out. Maybe we'll do a podcast on for my side of the table.
Yep, no problem.
And it'd be fun. The last time I was there, me and Jay stayed out there till like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was a gnarly one. We drank whiskey all night.
Yeah,
What up, Mickey?
we did a 3-hour or did like a 2-hour podcast with the guys, then
Yeah.
did our own 3-hour podcast and finished like a whole bottle. And,
Yeah.
it was good news.
So when you
that
get
was
a
fun.
new bike, and you love the color, you go, this is cool. I'm going to get a red one or whatever you get. And you bring it back. I mean, you're instantly starting to think, I've got to strip this down and paint it.
Yeah, no, I'm buying the cheapest option available because nothing is going to stay that way.
Right.
I have no intentions of keeping it that way. So whether it's black, whether it's the gray, whatever the cheapest option is, that's usually what I want to do. I don't know, like the things that they did on the new Lowrider ST or just the Lowrider or the Softail platform, I think that was an understated release, if you will, because I thought it was a pretty big announcements, if you will, that as someone that's already owned one of these bikes and got, built it up and got rid of it already, I'm pretty stoked about it. Like I want a high horsepower bike, but I want it to be as close to stock as possible because I travel on my bikes,
Right.
The mileage isn't as important as the fact that like I want to be able to just do the basic maintenance. I want to have enough power to go enjoy the different terrains and the roads that I get to experience. And, a little bit of wind protection is good for fatigue on the highway, and some bags is good, especially if you're like me or Jay, where we have so much fucking camera gear that we're taking with us everywhere we go. It's like, it's gnarly. You know what I mean? So like I enjoyed having the ST, but I didn't appreciate it when I had it once again. So, and I sold it for way too cheap than I should have. I should have kept it. Had a good deal on it. It was dialed in, motor, paint, the wheels, the whole fucking nine. And I just thought I was going a different direction in life, and then the economy said no. So
Well, that happened, and that's why Josh is on a bagger now, so we can put the 200-pound trunk on the back with.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, kind of the same deal. I love the Lowrider STs, but for storage and like a heavy payload, if you will,
Yeah.
You just can't beat the bagger.
And the mileage and the weather and the trips that you do.
But we will be, I think we're going to add an Street Glide Ultra to the stable.
Time will tell.
So what do y'all's trips look like now? What's y'all's biggest trips that you guys got planned?
Probably homecoming, mile wise.
Homecoming? Yeah.
Yeah. We're leaving July 4th, and we'll get to homecoming the 9th or 10th. And then, but we're just riding one way, and then we'll fly back home, and because we got Sturgis 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So
You
then
guys,
we got to jump on the bikes then. Go ahead.
I'm a big advocate for this because it's in Texas, but also because I help out with this event. Born Free Texas, dude. It's an amazing event and nothing like what Born Free Cali is. But Born Free Cali is an amazing event as well. It's like literally one of my favorite events of the year. But imagine if you have like a rally-esque kind of vibe where you don't have to leave the grounds, but it's all the world that we're a part of. The people, you know, you're not seeing a lot of old dudes with their slongs hanging out doing old rally shit. It's like cool. There's a lot of cool shit. You know what I'm saying? It's an amazing event. And this past year, man, like it was the third year of it, and the event finally felt like it had its own legs, where it wasn't like in the shadow of California, or it's its own thing. It's different. Like you go to California, it's an amazing event. I wouldn't miss it for the world, even though I'm about to. And then Texas now has this vibe where you can come out, ride, camp. You don't have to leave the venue. You're in the piney woods of Texas. A lot of cool vendors, a lot of cool things going on. Harley, I think, is also leaning into it even harder this year than they have in the past. The best camping weather in Texas, because you're getting, you know, 50 plus, like high 50s, low 60s camping weather, you know, 70s during the day riding. In Texas, that's good. You know, we get it. That's like every day for you guys. But, you know, out here, like that's good weather. And
I heard you never sleep on the ground in Texas.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you can. But I sleep in a van. Like me and the wife got a nice little van. So, you know, we've elevated ourselves off an air mattress in a tent to a van.
I was talking to Grant Peterson about it. And I mean, it's taken them a couple years to kind of get, you know, the flow of it, because they took it over 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. Well, they started it 3 years ago.
Yeah. And he was just saying he was so happy with the grounds and all the stuff there and the camping, like you're saying, almost an inclusive. You don't have to go anywhere.
You don't. And like I said, you know, a lot of people would reach out and ask me about it. Like, hey, you know, how is it compared to? And it's like, it's not, you don't compare it to California because they're different events. They're different. It's a lot of the same structure as far as like the amenities of, you know, entertainment or things to do, but the baseline is different. So obviously there's a space restriction in Silverado Canyon, in the Orange County area. There's, you know, a lot of ordinances that are into play that make Mike and Grant have a little bit of a harder time making the show as big as they want it to be. But in Texas, we have nothing but space. And so out here, the biggest problem we deal with is like whether or not we're on a burn ban because it's too windy and too dry, you know, and we have a lot of shit that'll catch on fire, you know.
Right.
I think y'all had some shit that catch on fire, but I think it already did, right?
Oh God.
Where is Born Free Texas? What city?
It's in a town called Mount Enterprise. It's just it's like southeast of Tyler, Texas. So it's like it's East Texas. It's piney woods, you know. You know, the riding is like I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but now I've come to kind of love it and enjoy it. You know, you know, when you ride things like PCH or, you know, anything, you know, Julian or, you know, all the shit out there, it's like you're thinking about these curves and these vistas, but sometimes like riding through these tree tunnels and you just got these nice, comfortable cruises, like they check all the boxes, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, to me, it checks a lot of boxes. It's a great experience. And, you know,
so
it's like
we should go out there.
I think you should. I mean,
where are we going to camp?
You don't have to camp. You can get an RV. Aren't y'all do that? I mean, you can sleep in the van with me and Britta. Like, we'll figure it out.
I could reach out to Rusty Wallace. Maybe he'll run the rig out.
Yeah. No, you guys would love it. I mean, it's really a cool event, and it's different.
Maybe that'll be a 2026 thing for us.
Yeah, for sure.
We were talking the other day with the guest, and it's like, we haven't done Laconia. Have you done that one?
Me and the boys, we rode through Laconia the weekend before the event on our main trip. We couldn't line it up to be there at the right time for it. But I could see why that event is as big as it is. I mean, I think you guys have been up there, right, in the area, just riding in general.
Been around it, yeah.
It's amazing. Like Vermont, New Hampshire, that whole, even like New York up in there. It's insanely beautiful for how tight and compact it feels. It's really nice. You know what I mean?
Love to do that one. What about the East Coast and deal?
Oh, that I don't know what's that
Larry's
called? Oh, Indian Larry's block party or something.
Yeah, I've been to a block party. They're pretty wild. They're a good time. Riding New York is amazing. I love it. But then again,
we did upstate New York and then down into Rhode Island and Boston and all that, and then because you guys did the same, we went up through Maine and that was pretty insane. Yeah,
did y'all have a lobster roll when y'all were up there?
Some of them did,
in Monroe.
Yeah, I thought it was the most underwhelming thing I've ever ate in my life. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Dry ass fish, no sauce. You know what I'm saying? Can you toast a bun or some shit? Like, what the hell? Like, we waited in a line on the side of a harbor for this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's so fresh. It has no flavor. Like, I didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Well, it was flown
this
in.
This is why I stopped drinking on podcasts. So.
Nah, it's perfect.
Wow.
Perfect. Crazy.
I like.
All right, well, man.
But yeah, let's go.
Yeah. We appreciate you, man. And as always, like from the beginning of when we started this thing, you were one of the first to put us out there. And so we're always indebted to you for that.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Look, when you're a part of this culture, when you're part of this thing, like all of us just want to be able to be here in another 10, 20 years and be like, you remember when we started doing this? Remember when we did that podcast a long time ago? It's so awesome that we're still here to hang out and talk about it and share these stories on the road. Like to me, that's the best part. So I'm glad that I could be a part of you guys' origin story. You guys are definitely a part of like my story as a person in this industry. Love you guys to death. You know what I mean? You guys are family to me. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everything.
100%.
Same. Put up Mickey's again.
You created a tagline.
That needs to go on your helmet or your shirt.
It's so fresh. It has no flavor.
It has no flavor. It needs to be someone's tagline for those of you listening and not watching.
Yeah. Hey, that's not a bad one. Thank you.
We'll do a collab shirt with you. It's so fresh. It's
it's tasteless.
Yeah.
And give Britta and the family a hug.
I will. I think she was in here watching a while ago.
Your kids are getting big, man.
Bro, that's it's a blessing and a curse, right? Like it's awesome to see them grow and become who they are, but it's also like it's still nerve-wracking. I thought that the older they get, the less you would care. The older you get, the more you care. You know
the more,
I mean?
Yeah, it never gets it's full.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I appreciate it.
Can you raise your 805? Here. Oh, hang tight 1 second. We're going to close. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. That was refreshing. That was cool. Catching up with an old friend,
Definitely a great show. Jace is awesome. We have fun with him. I just remember the trip when we got that Airbnb and it was giant old
like 1800s.
or something. Just so cool.
Yeah, that was great. But I think even before that, it was cool that you were able to kind of jump in on the podcast with Lance, and then roll the tape a year next, and then we're doing something. I mean, it's just kind of the thing of how fate and things work. It's pretty crazy. So hopefully y'all got your stickers and your hats and enjoyed yesterday's drop. Hollister, if you haven't looked at it, go check it out. Look, we're going to be at the Las Vegas International Speedway next Sunday, and we're doing a track day. Tickets are sold out, but we're going to have a nice drop with that. Our buddy Josh is going on a family vacation next week. Do not track him down in Iceland.
I was just going to say, don't tell them where I'm going. But yeah, get first time hanging with family in years.
Just put it to you this way: Iceland or Greenland? Greenland, Iceland, Iceland,
yeah.
Greenland.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Greenland, Iceland.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So anyway, check out 2LaneLIVE.com, V-Twin Parts, get your merch. There you go. And thank you again, 805, Law Tigers, and EagleRider for all your support.
See you down the road.
See you down the road.